Okay, are you thinking about grabbing the Kingston KC3000 for that blazing fast PC upgrade? Let me stop you right there, because after testing it thoroughly, I discovered something that surprised me, and it completely changed my view on this popular SSD. But here's the thing, most reviews aren't telling you this critical flaw, and it could be a deal breaker for your specific setup. Therefore, you need to watch this before you click buy. For the best price, click the link in the description. Now, the Kingston KC3000 is a PCIe 4.0 NVMe drive that promises insane speeds up to 7,000 megabytes per second. It's marketed for power users, creators, and gamers who need the absolute fastest storage. The specs sound like a dream, right? Massive capacities up to 4 TB, a fancy graphene aluminum heat spreader to keep it cool, and it fits right into your motherboard. On paper, it's a monster, but here's what surprised me during real-world testing. This drive gets hot, and I'm not talking a little warm, I'm talking throttle your speeds down to PCIe 3.0 levels hot under sustained workloads. Therefore, if you're a video editor rendering a 4K timeline or a hardcore gamer loading massive open worlds, that headline speed number, you might not see it for long. That's the contrarian snapback. This isn't just a review, it's a warning for a specific type of user. So let's dive deep and find out if the KC3000's problems are a deal breaker or just a speed bump. First up, let's talk about why everyone is so obsessed with this drive. The hype is real for a reason. On a fresh, clean install with perfect cooling, the performance is breathtaking. Boot times vanish. Games load in a blink. Copying huge files feels instantaneous. It's the kind of upgrade that makes your whole PC feel new again. The compact M.2 2280 form factor means it's a universal fit. And with a 4.7-star rating on Amazon, clearly, a lot of people are happy. And this is a huge but, those reviews often come from people doing short bursts of activity. They boot, they play a game, they shut down. The problem surfaces when you push it continuously. That low-profile graphene heat spreader, in my testing, it struggled. Therefore, the first major problem is thermal throttling. Imagine paying for a Ferrari that can only drive at Ferrari speeds for the first minute before it has to slow down to avoid overheating. That's the KC3000 under pressure. Joke number 1. This SSD runs so hot, I'm pretty sure I could fry an egg on it. Unfortunately, my motherboard manual said nothing about breakfast preparation. Now, let's get technical. Why does this happen? The drive uses a Fission E18 controller and fast 3D TLC NAND. That's a top-tier combo for raw speed. However, that combo is also a power-hungry, heat-generating beast. The included heat spreader is better than nothing, but in a laptop or a tight PC case with poor airflow, it's simply not enough. Therefore, your actual performance hinges entirely on your system's cooling. If you've got a beastly setup with fans blowing directly over the M.2 slot, you'll have fewer issues. But in a typical setup, expect throttling. This leads to problem number 2, inconsistent real-world speeds. Synthetic benchmarks like CrystalDiskMark will show you those amazing 7,000 MB/s numbers. But run a longer, sustained test like copying a 100 GB game folder, and you'll see the speed start high and then dip significantly as the drive heats up. For content creation, this inconsistency can mess with your workflow. You think you have this ultra-fast drive, and then a big render suddenly takes longer than expected. It's frustrating. Therefore, the promise doesn't always match the reality. Joke number 2. My benchmark charts for this drive look less like a performance graph and more like a mountain range. Very scenic, but not what I paid for. Let's rehook for a second. Is this drive all bad? Absolutely not. And that's the tricky part. For many, maybe even most users, the problems I'm highlighting won't be noticeable. If you're mainly gaming, with breaks between sessions, or using it as a primary drive for office work and web browsing, you'll love it. The average speeds are still phenomenally fast compared to older SSDs or hard drives. The capacities are great, from 512 GB to that massive 4 TB option. And Kingston is a reliable brand. But if you're the power user this drive is supposedly marketed to, the 3D renderer, the 8K video editor, the data scientist, you need to be aware of this thermal ceiling. Therefore, the problems in the title are specifically for that audience. For everyone else, they're more like quirks. So, what's the resolution? Here's how to decide if the KC3000 is right for you. Problem number 3 is the competition. At this price point, you have alternatives like the WD Black SN850X or the Samsung 980 Pro that have more robust thermal solutions or simply run cooler. But the KC3000 often wins on price per gigabyte. Therefore, your decision comes down to value versus thermal headroom. If your PC case is a wind tunnel with excellent airflow, the KC3000 is a fantastic value pick. You'll get 95% of the top-tier performance for less money. Joke number 3. Choosing this SSD is like choosing a roommate. It's awesome and fast, but only if you keep the environment cool. Otherwise, things get uncomfortably hot and performance drops. If you're using a laptop or a small form factor PC with minimal airflow, I'd recommend looking at those cooler running alternatives, even if they cost a bit more. The consistency is worth it. But wait, there's a fix. You can add an aftermarket M.2 heatsink. A beefier copper or aluminum heatsink with a proper thermal pad can work wonders for the KC3000, taming those thermals and keeping speeds high. It's an extra cost and a bit of hassle, but it transforms the drive. Therefore, the KC3000 becomes a DIY-friendly project for tinkerers. For the non-tinkerers, it's a compromise. Let's talk about the elephant in the room: reliability. Despite the heat, I haven't seen widespread reports of the KC3000 failing early. Kingston's reputation for solid drives holds here. The 3D TLC NAND is a good, durable type of memory. So while it may throttle, it likely won't die on you quickly. That's a positive, but you are theoretically putting more stress on the components over a long period. Therefore, it's a trade-off. Joke number 4. This drive is the drama queen of SSDs. It performs brilliantly under perfect conditions but throws a performance tantrum when it gets a little warm. It just needs a better cooling fan. I mean, audience. Final rehook. So after all that, should you buy the Kingston KC3000? The answer is, it depends, but leaning towards yes for most people. Here's the positive note to end on. For the majority of users who won't push it to its thermal limits every single day, the Kingston KC3000 is an incredible SSD. The everyday speed boost is massive and tangible. The value is often excellent. The problems I detailed are real, but they are edge cases for the target market of power users. If you're a hardcore professional who needs sustained max speed, you now know to plan for extra cooling or choose a different drive. But if you're a gamer, a streamer, or a general enthusiast, the KC3000 will likely blow you away with its performance, and you'll be thrilled with it. You just needed to go in with your eyes open to its one main weakness. Therefore, my final take is this. The Kingston KC3000 is a fantastic drive with a notable thermal caveat. Know your use case, know your system's cooling, and you can make a great decision. For the vast majority, it's a top-tier purchase that will supercharge your PC. For the best price on Amazon and to check today's deal, click the link in the description below. Thanks for watching.